All right. Looks like we are live. So please let us know you're here. So right now, if you're joining us, you are here for the third night of our product releases. So we've had a blast the last two nights in releasing, telling you guys about our BAMS beets and our Lewis fermented golden paste. And I love the reaction we've gotten from you guys. It means a lot to us that you guys are excited about what we're doing. As a reminder to please tell me you're here. Tell us both that you are here, and if you want to rewatch this, it will obviously be up on our social media, but also on our YouTube channel, which you could go subscribe to if you'd like to do that. So looks like we have some people in here. I see some very familiar faces already. So thank you guys for coming. So, I am here with someone who is so famous that she really only needs a first name and everybody knows who she is. So this is Kelly. And beyond that, I don't think she needs any introduction.
Perfect.
And my name is Billy, and we are Green Juju. So we are the entire company, and we love making products for you that give the best health outcomes. So, let us know. And by the way, I would like to also tell you guys as well, some of you that saw that guessed what this product may have been today. So it'll be interesting to see which one of you guys was right, and I think you guys will be pleasantly surprised if you weren't. So with that, Kelly, why don't you start us off here?
All right, day 3. So, the products that we have announced the past 2 days have been very innovative products that you will not find in pet stores until ours get there. The product that we're announcing today is the highest quality of its kind, and we are going to show you 3 innovative ways to feed this product. So I'm going to tell you guys a little story. Back about 9 years ago, when Bailey was diagnosed with cancer, I went into my local pet food store and she recommended that I feed raw goat's milk. I was like, "What is this stuff? Like, what's raw goat's milk?" And she's like, "Well, here, call this guy Billy. He'll tell you all about it." So I called Billy. Billy and I talked on the phone for an hour, and he told me all about raw goat's milk and how it would help Bailey and why I should feed it. And that was my lesson in raw goat's milk. And going on with Green Juju for years and years, Billy and I were friends, and I would always tell people to feed Green Juju along with raw goat's milk and how they complemented each other with the probiotics in the raw goat's milk and the prebiotics in the Green Juju. And whenever people came to me and said, like, "Oh, I'm feeding a dry diet, I don't want to go raw, but I want to improve the diet," I always said Green Juju and raw goat's milk. That, those two things should be added to your bowl, absolutely. So with a long history of raw goat's milk on both sides, and a great opportunity that came in our laps, we are launching a raw goat's milk.
I wasn't fast enough with the with the thing. So this is the pint. We're about to tell you guys some really cool information as well. This is the pint. This is the quart. Let's do a little backup here. I guess that works as well. This is the quart. And for those of you with large dogs, and or those of you that like to save money, this is the half gallon. So very exciting. So this is the half gallon. Sorry, my thing is flipping out of my ear. So here is your half gallon as well. So we have all 3 sizes to start. So super,
So,
super, super excited to talk about this.
all right, let's start. Why don't you tell us why our goat's milk is unique?
So first of all, we can talk about just sourcing in general. So I have a long history with goat's milk in general, with raw milk, and it goes really to my family living in Pennsylvania and working with local farmers here around where I live in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. And so one of the really great things about our milk is, it's actually funny because I was talking to Kimberly from Keeping the Tail Wagging. She was making fun of me because I was talking about why I love living here. One of the reasons was soil. And because this is some of the most nutrient dense soil in the country. And that goes back to the food that I feed my family and the milk that we can have, but also goes to the vegetation that these goats are eating. So the first cool thing is I can personally attest to every one of these farms. So as we grow with our product, I'm going to go out to each farm and I'm going to make sure that those goats are on pasture. I'm going to make sure that they're living their best life in terms of the ethics of what's happening, and that they're eating forage. And because goats, it's interesting because grass fed is actually encompassing of goats actually like to eat leaves and forage more than grass. And little weird tidbit, they actually like when the grass grows long and it starts to get seeds on the top of it. That's their favorite part of grass in general. But so that's the really cool thing is you can know when you're feeding this product that you're getting the best sourcing, not only ethically, but also from a nutrient profile, because we know that when goats eat what they're supposed to eat and when they're in the sunshine and they're, converting that vitamin D, all of that's going to end up in the milk. And that's how kind of nature works. And so I was just out at our first farm and boy, was I impressed. And so the first thing is the sourcing. The second thing is you will notice that there is no additives to this milk except for beta carotene, which is just there for color, which is basically just a state regulation for a couple states. So nothing that actually messes with the integrity of the actual milk itself, because milk is the star. So that's one of the things that's going to be the biggest part about this. We are sourcing the best raw milk in the country. We're also putting it in its most natural state. This is raw milk, because raw milk is the star.
Is that?
Yeah.
Okay, so why don't you tell us about, so everything we do at Green Juju is geared towards sensitive dogs, right? Based on my dogs being sensitive and me not being able to buy anything in pet stores, I've always tried to simplify our products as much as possible so that they appeal to the most sensitive dogs. So that is the route that we have taken with this raw goat's milk and keeping it in its pure, simple, raw form. And why don't you tell us about the ways that we can alter this milk to cater to different sensitive animals?
Absolutely. So we are going to be doing this. So we wanted this, Kelly makes a very good point. We wanted this to be accessible to every animal. So whether that animal could enjoy just raw milk in and of itself, and I'll talk about exactly why that is completely relevant, or fermented raw milk, or something that, as far as I know, hasn't really been, well, definitely hasn't been done in the pet food industry, but hasn't been done at all when it comes to raw milk that I've ever seen, which is how to make it lactose free. So what we want to do is we're introducing a product that is going to be done 3 different ways. So every animal can be able to benefit from this. And the power of that is in your hands. So the first thing is 99% of dogs and cats are going to do amazing with just regular raw milk. And regular is not a word that's great for really justifying that, because raw milk is the most nutrient dense and complex food on the planet. So it has every known nutrient that we've ever discovered in its most bioavailable form. See how liquidy milk is? That's because when nature makes food, it suspends those nutrients in moisture, so they're more readily absorbable. So it has every known vitamin, mineral, micronutrient, concept. It is amazingly digestible source of protein. The only thing, I guess, more balanced would be eggs in terms of protein, but it's very, very high on that scale. It has over 400 different fatty acids, all of which have a different metabolic function. The cool thing about raw milk is it's so complex that they actually discover new things in it every year. So we don't even know everything about raw milk. We just know that it's designed by biology and evolution to be nature's most perfect food. It's the closest thing to a silver bullet in nutrition. I think people can kind of put that together when they go, "Oh, I drink a shake that's supposed to replace a meal." This actually has everything, right? And it's there to essentially, provide 100% nutrition for a growing baby. And so I say that because I feel like one of the things that we do in the pet food industry or just in general is we always try to add things to things for added value. So whether it's doing something to the milk, whether it's adding something to the milk is the star. The milk is I would argue, in my experience, the most important thing that you can add to your pet's diet when it comes to providing like a general nutrient base. So, the first way that we can do this is to feed the raw milk itself.
Hey, Billy,
Yes.
am I frozen?
No.
You're frozen.
Am I?
Yeah,
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but you're frozen.
Am I frozen to other people? Here, let me try to get on and off. Is that better?
Okay, you're not frozen for anyone else, so maybe it's just me.
Okay, cool. So, so going back to what I was saying, the first way to feed this is in its natural state, which I just want to, throw back out there that raw milk is the most, and it goes back to balance as well. It has a 1-to-1 calcium to phosphorus ratio, has a 1-to-1 omega-3 to 6 ratio. And so this is, if you are that person who loves to feed their pet well, however, you don't want to do a lot of work, this is the state for you. You just thaw it up, shake it up, and pour it on. It's a very easy concept, and we are excited to be able to introduce that. So, Kelly, I would love for you to do me a favor when I talk about this second concept, because I totally don't have it in front of me. If you could look up that coupon code in your
Oh,
email, that would be great. So now I'm going to talk about the second way you can feed this milk and why this is kind of near and dear to my heart and why it's new. So this is going to be a new concept as well. One of my favorite things in nutrition right now is rotating probiotics. So whether you're feeding a probiotic, whether you're feeding foods that are probiotic rich, the way that you want to build a diet is to feed as many different types of bacteria as possible. So if you're feeding this plain, by the way, this has over 200 species of probiotics in it right off the bat. So you're already getting that probiotic content. But the second thing you can do is you can actually ferment this at home, which is going to be very, very simple. One of the things we're going to do is break down that wall between people thinking it's really hard to ferment raw milk because it's really, really not. And so it's only me now. So, so um, in terms of fermentation, we actually, so if you go to the post, we're going to post a picture of this on our social media tonight. And we're going to be posting a video, and that video is going to show you just how easy it is. I got to get her on here. Good. Okay. That video is going to show you just how easy it is to ferment. It takes literally 10 seconds. And the really cool thing about fermentation in this case is you can rotate between probiotics. So if you buy a product that is either has probiotics added to it or is fermented already, you have one set of probiotics. This way, you can actually take virtually any probiotic that you're using and whatever works best for your dog and ferment the milk And next time you can use something else. So you can actually rotate through different probiotics in terms of actually fermenting this. And again, if you go to our social media after this live, we will have a video by yours truly on exactly how to ferment that. So we also have partnered. Did you find that code? Side note?
Yep.
Okay, great. So you could tell how organized we are, people. So
in 2 days or 3 products in 3 days is a lot.
that is true. So so I will answer one fermentation question because it's pretty easy. You only have to ferment it once. You don't have to do that each day. All you have to do is do it and then use it until it's done. But you'll see that in the video. And we also love to take questions. You can always email us as well. But we actually have done some experimentation and have partnered with a really great company called Adored Beast. Julianne Lee is a very good friend of mine, and I don't know. It had to have been like several months ago. I started to do experimentation with using their probiotics. So one of the really cool things you can do is you can take. They have specific probiotics that are taken from the microbes of dogs. You know, for to be a dog-specific probiotic, you can actually use that to ferment this milk and make a dog-specific fermented probiotic raw milk beverage. And so I don't know if you consider that a yogurt or a kefir. I don't know what it'd be. I guess it'd be a yogurt because there's no, I don't know if there's a yeast culture in there. But they also, Adored Beast has 4 different probiotics, all of which are on the video that I mentioned. And you can actually rotate. You can actually rotate between all of those as well. And due to the fact that we're partnering, we actually have a coupon code for you. So you can actually go and order your Adored Beast probiotics and be ready for when the milk is released. So Kelly, what is the coupon code for
It
Adored
is
Beast?
Juju20, JUJU20.
So if,
There's also something that we might want to respond to down here. That question about is it true the fermentation causes heat? Didn't you get a response on that?
yes, I actually talked to Judy Morgan today, and apparently fermentation is yin, which is cooling. So whatever you're feeding, it's going to add a cooling factor to it. So side note, everyone who was watching yesterday and today. So I want to stress the importance of rotating through probiotic sources. And so this is going to give you, if you're, I see a lot of people on here are already using Adored Beast. Here's a great thing you can do. You could take a scoop of your Adored Beast, put it in here and ferment it and use it in that medium, or you could do both and make it even stronger. You could use it as a probiotic and use it in your milk as well. That's actually what I'm doing right now. I'm going to feed the Love Bugs probiotic, and I'm fermenting my milk in the kitchen behind me with Phytos Flora. So I'll actually be doing both in the same day. So side note, so the second thing you can do is ferment. And we did put, okay, Juju 20. So if you go to Adored Beast's website and order any one of their prebiotics and probiotics and put in Juju 20, you can get a discount and be ready to be able to ferment your green Juju raw goat's milk. Now, the third way that you can feed this milk, and this is something that I don't know exactly when this occurred to me, but and someone just, no, you're good. And someone just said, can we post these instructions? The instructions will be on the video. So again, go back to our social media and check that out. So the third way we can feed this milk is we can make it lactose free. So this is going to be for most animals, like 99% of dogs and cats are fine with lactose in raw milk. Lactose in raw milk is actually different than lactose in pasteurized milk. It actually becomes lactose B in pasteurized milk and doesn't work as well to feed the microbiome and do some other things. So again, going to be great with that. If you want to ferment, great. But if you have an extra sensitive animal who might be lactose intolerant, or if you're just trying to reduce the carbohydrate content, you can make your whole raw milk lactose free. Now in the video, we show you how to do that with an enzyme called lactase, which lactase is an enzyme that basically processes out all of the lactose. So that is an incredibly simple process. And we have instructions with a particular brand called Milk Aid, but you could use a different brand if you want. And that is even easier than fermentation. So it really just depends. So going back to this whole thing as a concept, the reason why we wanted to release this in its whole clean, raw state was so you could do one of those three things. So you can either feed it, as an amazing topper. I actually am a huge advocate of feeding a lot of milk. I've probably 25-pound French bulldog, and he gets 8 ounces of milk a day. It's a lot of his calories. And you can just use it as a topper, or you can go ahead and ferment it, which again, I'm just going to tell you right now is going to take you about 10 seconds and is very fun to do. Or you can make it lactose free. If you have an extra sensitive animal or an animal that you think might be, lactose intolerant, or have had issues with in the past. Let's say you have a dog that you just don't know why they aren't good with another brand of raw milk you've tried or whatever it might be. This gives you options to be able to find out what works for you.
So I just want to say we're getting a ton of questions in the comments here. We want to keep this video short, but on May 17th, we are going to have a live Q&A where we can go over anything and everything. So bring your questions there. We'll also get to as many as we can in the comments afterwards. Question for you, Billy. Can you make a fermented milk lactose free?
You're kind of frozen, so give me 1 second. So I'm going to try this first, then I'm going to answer your question. So I can still hear you. There you go. I think you're good now. So if you ferment milk, one of the things in the video you'll see there's 2 different ways to do it. You can either do it on your counter or with a yogurt maker. Some of you might be familiar with that as well. You can ferment milk long enough, and eventually all those lactose sugars will be gone. For the type of fermentation we're doing, there'll still be some lactose in it, which is totally fine. If you make your milk lactose free, that will take the food source away from the bacteria you'd be fermenting it with. So if you choose the lactose free option, you cannot ferment it. But if you ferment it, you will reduce or eliminate the lactose. It just depends on how long you do it. But at what we're recommending, there'll be some residual lactose when you ferment it.
Okay. But which pets will this benefit from the most?
You said which pets will benefit the most?
Yeah, then I'm going to step off and come back on.
Yeah, you're good. Okay, so the question is, which pets will benefit the most? All pets benefit from whole raw milk in different ways. So in my experience in the past, working with animals and with health issues and senior animals, milk provides a way to give all of the nutrients that they need in a much more digestible way. So if you look at something like phosphorus, if you look at, something like protein, all of it is in a sort of moderate, is at moderate but very bioavailable levels. And also it's, again, suspended in moisture. So it's a great way to consistently add a lot of moisture, because not only is that relevant in senior animals, but it's also very, very relevant in all animals. So one of the reasons I said I was feeding, Huckleberry, my dog, 8 ounces of milk a day, even though he's a puppy, and making up, 30 to 40% of his diet, is because I'm looking to set up his kidneys in the future in his body for success. And the way I do that is I add green Juju bone broth and I add green Juju milk to be able to do that. So I think, in my experience, raw milk has been the single thing, as far as getting animals back to where they need to be health-wise. And that tells us a lot about what we should be feeding them when they are healthy. Because remember, a lot of people turn to these things when their animal's having a health issue, but if you have a puppy or a young healthy dog, let's set them up in the future. And this is one of the greatest things you can do to do that. I'm just going to randomly show these again because people
they're so
ask.
cute.
Yes, they are. And look at this packaging is beautiful. So this one's heavy. So warn you, Kelly, my other hand might be there. So, but we're at the end, so it doesn't matter. So we like to talk about inside jokes when no one knows what we're talking about. So, so again, I'm just very excited to bring this to market and see, the health benefits we can get from all three of these different methods.
You want to talk about feeding recommendations?
Yes. Somebody said, who's it named after? It's not named after anyone. It's kind of a theme, but it's not. It's not particularly named after anyone. So, um, there's a few ways. There's a few ways to do this. So the first way is we have daily feeding instructions. So you're looking at under 10 pounds is an ounce, 10 to 20 pounds is 2 ounces, 20 to 40 pounds is 4 ounces, 40 to 60 pounds is 6 ounces, and 60 to 80 pounds is 8 ounces. 80 plus pounds is 10 ounces. That would be if you're just doing it with food, right? This would be if it was like a topper, whatever you want to do, if whatever diet you're doing. It doesn't matter if it's like, it doesn't matter if it's kibble, canned, raw food, whatever you're doing, you can use that. The thing to remember though too is you can always do as much milk as you want. You just have to remember it's 20 calories per ounce. So you just whatever you're feeding, just make sure that you're not just feeding your regular amount of food and then just dumping a bunch of milk on there. So the way that I feed it is I feed 80 calories per meal in milk. And then I just do the rest in whatever food I'm doing and some other items there. So you can either feed it by calories, which is about 20, or we have it'll be backwards, I think, but we have the feeding recommendations on the back here. And you can just kind of go by that as well.
So this will be available on the same timeline as the other products, which is late May to early June, is when you can expect to see it in stores.
And I want to say one shout out to, I do want to address one question here. Janet says, we desperately need a good source of kefir. You can make this your good source of kefir, and I promise it will only take 10 seconds to do it, and you won't be sorry. So go to our social media after this and download the video. So this is the beauty of this whole system is you can make this your awesome source of kefir or yogurt or, your probiotic or whatever you want to do. So.
Well, all right. Very excited to be joining into this venture with you. Been in the plant world for a long time and been recommending goat's milk forever, but excited to have it within our own portfolio and doing this together.
Absolutely. And I will say one other thing, and that is that, one of the things I don't think we really mentioned during this, during all three of these products is, one of the things that was really great about us coming together in the first place was we kind of had this East Coast, West Coast, thing going on. So all of these products are produced about 5 minutes from my house in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. And so I was just there yesterday and in production and that kind of stuff. And so I really want people to know that we do take a truly hands-on approach to the design of our products and to all of the, getting our hands dirty in R&D and really trying to make the best stuff possible. So just throwing that out there. So thank you guys so much for coming to our product reveal. Check out our social media to get the link to the video so you can either feed this amazing, the best source raw milk in the world, plain, or you can ferment it, or you can make it lactose free. And we will see you soon. If you have any questions, we do have a live, I think you said March 17th, right?
I think so.
Yeah, at 7 p.m. Eastern. And we can answer any questions there as well. So everybody have a good night, and we will see you soon.